In this video, I will debunk the long debated myth that you only need discipline to be successful. This is one of those narratives that for example, social media really tries to upkeep as much as possible, that you don't need motivation, okay? Yes, discipline goes a far way, it's about showing up on those days where you don't feel like it and still follow through on your habits, yeah? But saying that you don't need motivation is literally degrading ourselves already to robots, because we do need motivation. We do need this inner spark. Intrinsic motivation is like this inner spark that, imagine you would actually go to theater and you're going to watch a beautiful play there, and it's played by robots who only execute the script. Do you really think that it would be fun to watch? Or does it matter that the people on the stage feel themselves intrinsic joy, excitement, sparks to do this play as good as they can, with as much energy and excitement as they can, as they possibly can? Which play, which show do you think will be much more fun to watch? Which show will be much more likely labeled as a masterpiece? The one that's robotically executed purely based on discipline, or the one where the actors, the players, have actually themselves a high sense of motivation? It's a rhetorical question, right? Because of course we love to see artists, people that have passion for what they do, right? It triggers something in us when we see others that have passion for what they do. They definitely became successful because they had discipline too, but it's not the one. It's just one side of the story. So, intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is, as a leader, you must be aware that it is your job as a leader to build an environment with frames. In one of my previous videos, I spoke about frames, right? That excites people intrinsically. Because people look for three things in organizations, okay? They want to have fun in what they do. And fun is not like the ping pong table during lunchtime. Fun is like, I get to play this game my way, within the frame, within the game rules, but my way. And that's what makes a game fun to play, right? Think about Monopoly, for example. Why is Monopoly a fun game to play? Well, everybody agrees to the same rules, and everybody gets to play within the rules their own game. And we don't win anything with playing this game, other than just worthless papers, right? We win something else. We win intrinsic motivation that feels good. That's why we play. We are intrinsically motivated to play these games because there's no real reward there. But in an organization, that's no difference. How fun would it be to play Monopoly when there sits one person that says you only should do this, you should do that, you should do this, and you don't get to decide and play it on your own? That's not motivating. So that's number one, fun or play, right? The second motivation is, the second most important aspect of intrinsic motivation is the sense of purpose. Now, this is not some woo-woo. This is literally psychology, okay? People have an innate drive to want to contribute. Okay, they want to contribute to something larger than themselves. This drives human fulfillment. So purpose is what they're looking for. If you're working in an organization when everything is just discipline and just transaction, you're not tapping into that energy, this free energy that people can tap into. One of my videos I spoke about free energy as well. Free energy is motivation. Motivation is free. It doesn't come from a lunch that you ate. It doesn't come from a meditation session. Free energy is available when you tap into it. And that is motivation is a form of free energy. Okay, that's the second one, purpose. The third one is personal growth. We have an innate drive to grow and develop ourselves. So what comes with learning? With learning comes failing, right? But there's no learning without failing. But many organizations focus really on the result, and when the result is not met, they're being reprimanded for failing. You're not performing, which is a punishment to say that to somebody, you're not performing. No, what is the growth perspective for the person? How can the person grow and develop in an organization is the third most important aspect of intrinsic motivation. So if you as a leader, you're neglecting those three things, that means that you're actually building an organization where you need to be behind people all the time. Because discipline requires accountability. And you as a founder, a different beast, right? Because that's the reason why you are watching this video as a founder, because you're not an employee somewhere. You're kind of built different already in a way. You have a high sense of what self-accountability means, right? You have your discipline really dialed in, okay? But are you also motivated in your business? What is your intrinsic motivation? Now, that is not a question of whether it's existing or non-existing. It's a question, have you put in the time and effort to find it? What is actually this intrinsic motivation that I have that got me this business to where it is today? Because it wasn't just the discipline. It wasn't. The fact that you are where you are, whether it's 5 people, 10 people, 15 people, 5,000 people, and 100 million in revenue, the fact that you got where you are right now is because there has always been a part of intrinsic motivation also in you as a leader. Now, what is that? Have you put in the time and effort to find that? Because if you find it yourself and you build frames around what you think is the intrinsic motivation that you have, and you hold those frames strong in your company, and you translate them into like a mission vision statements, core value statements, you build your identity goals around it, the bold, inspiring, guiding goals, which will be another video, then you have the absolute foundation to build a business that will be self-managing, autonomous, that will be fun to run. And you don't have to be the operator chasing people to, hey, you have your own accountability because you are built different as a leader, as a founder. But you have to kind of keep this discipline up in others by holding them accountable. But if it goes without the intrinsic motivation part, if you stop doing that, the discipline will fall down. Okay? Because you can't expect your people to have the same intrinsic structure as you as a founder. You can't. There's some exceptions. You maybe have these premium players, like even above A players, that really operate on the same level. Yes, they are there, and they get work done from 10 people in your organization. You know, because that's usually what these people bring. Like they work for 10, but that's not gonna solve the full aspect of your organization. You know, you can't also already fully do everything with AI, right? In the future, yeah, probably, but you still need, as a leader, to know how do you trigger that intrinsic spark, which we call intrinsic motivation. So you don't need just discipline to be successful. You just haven't put in the work to understand what has always been the intrinsic motivation that you as a founder have. And you don't need to build an organization just around discipline. That's just saying, like, I just look at one side of the coin and the other side of the coin doesn't exist. Well, impossible. Everything has always two sides. And the other side is intrinsic motivation. And this is a skill you must learn to master as a leader who's growing and developing himself or herself, themselves. So that said, look, I coach people one-on-one. And for a limited time period, I don't know yet how long, I do free weekly coaching sessions, group coaching. So there's a link here. It gets you to the school community, the school environment. This is where I host the calls. This is also where you can find some content for free. And there you can get coached on what challenges you. And maybe even make new connections with other founders who maybe will unlock something in your journey as well. So if you have any comments, what your experience is with discipline versus intrinsic motivation, let me know also in the comments. And maybe tell me also what you would like to have a video on. You know, I can shoot custom videos if you say, can you share some content about this or that? I got 25 years plus experience and track record in anything leadership, management, organization. So if you want to share a topic that you want to learn from here, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.